Chapter 1.8. Without Terry in her life, she was restless again. She couldn't countenance a whole summer cleaning motel rooms. One afternoon, she was sitting on the floor trying not to engage with Days of Our Lives when her phone rang. It was Thomas, her friend from London who'd moved to Perth in July to be with his boyfriend. She'd met Thomas at a Noah and the Well concert in Notting Hill 6 years earlier. It was her final year of her masters. After the support band had left the stage and they were waiting for the main act, they'd struck up a conversation about David Hockney. Thomas had that day browsed the artist's works at the Tate. He seemed eccentric, yet kind, and they remained friends ever since. After catching up on his new life down under, she was reticent and vague when he asked where she was. "Australia? I thought you were in Bali." "Long story. I finished with Carlos," she went on to explain her circumstances as succinctly as she could, and excluding the abortion. "But you're an Aussie, dual citizenship or something." "Afraid not." "But you can't overstay a holiday visa. You'll have one hell of a job gaining residency if you do." "I know. You'll have to find someone to marry." "Not you as well. That's what my mother is saying." "She's right. It's common knowledge." He paused. "So where exactly are you, geographically speaking?" "New South Wales." "Well, fancy that. We're neighbours." "Hardly," she said, wondering if he even knew where New South Wales was. "We could at least catch up." "I'd love to visit. The farm is, well," she glanced at her mother to make sure she wasn't listening. She wasn't. "Intolerably dull." He told her he'd just purchased a one-bedroom unit in a suburb close to the city centre. "Why don't you move here?" "To Perth?" "You can stay in my old flat until the lease runs out." After 10 years apart, did she really want to sever her relationship with her mother again by putting the width of the continent between them? The only other comment the palm reader had made was that she would do better far from her family. She had dismissed the remark at the time, but after recent events, she couldn't agree more. "When shall I come?" "As soon as you like." She waited for the credits to roll and Leah to disappear outside before she switched on Leah's computer and researched the cheapest route. She booked the bus to Melbourne and a one-way plane ticket to Perth. She'd leave in 4 days. A quick check of her inbox. There was nothing but junk. Then she went outside and wandered around the garden, finding her mother picking broad beans. "Mum?" "Yes?" Her mother didn't look up. "I'm moving to Perth." Leah shooed away a curious bee with a soft flick of her hand, then carried on picking beans. "Perth?" she said. "Why Perth?" Yvette explained as the colander filled with bean pods. "Are you sure?" "I can't stay here, Mum." "You're not happy, that's obvious." "I'll miss you." "I'll miss you." "At least it's not halfway round the world this time. Just a whole continent." "You can visit." "Well, good luck." She trailed her mother inside and helped shell the beans, wondering if she could ever face coming back to this sleepy, isolated backwater, where her family, for a reason that remained inexplicable, had chosen to play out their minuscule lives.